You look at people like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. It says online they have like a salary of like $1 because they have equity. How much do me and my co-founder pay ourselves?
You might starting a new business. You just open your first coffee shop or you're developing software with a friend. You are struggling with things. You ask yourself how I'm going to make it, how I'm going to be successful. What's the things I really got to focus on? So today we did basically a case study. We took Usher, who's actually one of the producers of this podcast, and he went and dissect and unmask his business with us on the phone as I'm walking him, as I'm guiding him and training him to think about the business, about sales, about marketing, about partnerships in a different way. So it doesn't really matter that we're talking to someone who's a podcast producer, because when you're in a brand new business, you're going to deal with the same issues and problems Usher and DJ are dealing with. So no matter what business you're in, you're going to really find this conversation valuable. Enjoy it. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're doing something a little different on our mask, and we have Usher, who's going to introduce himself in a second, and we'll actually give a chance for people to ask questions, and Usher's going to ask some questions, and we'll have a conversation. Enjoy it. Usher, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, so I'm Usher Brooks, and I'm building Theorist Studios with my co-founder DJ Warga.
Yeah.
And we're trying to build a massive business where we have studios all around the world and producing big shows. And right now, what it looks like today is we have one studio in Midtown Manhattan.
Which I must
And-
say is a great studio because I'm using it for my podcast, so I'm very happy to use it, yeah.
And that's how we know each other. And then we're possibly opening up a second one, and then also in Manhattan. And we're producing a few shows, not as many as I'd like. And we're booking out our studio once or twice a day. We have some busier days, but a goal of ours is to figure out how to get this thing fully booked, build a lot of these, and build a big business. Boaz, companies like Amazon, they make like 500 billion plus a year, and we're making like 16K. And it's frustrating to me because I feel like I want to build something big, and we're barely booking out our studio. What do they know that we don't know? How do I get to that level in sales?
Oh, well, you just set yourself to fail with this question, but why not, right? So, how long did Jeff Bezos work on Amazon to be profitable?
I'm not sure, but I saw stats that other big CEOs and founders spent years before they made any money.
If I'm not mistaken, Jeff Bezos was 20 years losing money, right? So now the benefit of raising money is that you can lose money for a bigger vision. So his intention was about growth. I'm going to expand it a little bit to a different conversation, but the mentality or like the core business plan in technology, mainly kind of a Silicon Valley way of thinking, is that growth, and then eventually you will take over the market. And Amazon is one of the classic versions of that. I don't know if it's going to last forever, but for the last, I would say 30, 40 years, maybe less, that was the way to think about it. So first of all, I'm going to remove Amazon or any example like that out of the conversation because it's really comparing yourself from like a toddler who was just born, a baby was born yesterday, to someone who is a mature and by the way, an Olympic player. So it's like you really chose like the worst things and if you compare yourself, I'm not saying you don't want to be inspired by anyone who's built a massive company, but if you compare yourself to someone so big, so successful, and they've been around for 30 years, then you will walk away going like, I don't have what it takes, right? So I think the first thing to do is actually let's compare yourself to someone who does very well in your field, right?
I gotta lower my expectations.
Well, I think you just understand that, look, a war is made out of many, many battles, right? And as a general, as the chief of staff, you have to think about the war, but I want you to focus on the current battle in front of you right now. And then maybe it's better to you to think about the most successful recording studios, podcast recording studios that is out there. And that might be not, obviously it's going to be a lower bar, but also going to be more realistic. So we can talk apples to apples versus apples to machine guns.
Okay.
All right. So, but let's dive into it. So let's get really clear about the question. Are you asking how do we survive? How do we grow? What's the thing that kind of? And I'll ask you in a different way. What's the thing that bothers you the most about your business right now?
It's very simple that we have a very affordable, cheap product, and we're struggling to even sell it when there seems to be demand for it. That's
Okay.
really the main thing.
And and
Um,
and let me just pause you for a question. Do you think that if you're cheap, you're gonna sell more?
no, I don't think we're trying to be the cheapest. We're just offering for this price because it's worth it for us. I don't think that making it $500 would make us more money per se.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's break it down. I think the whole idea of unmask is to remove a myth, right? So let's remove a myth by a few things you've said. By the way, Asha, really thank you for being honest and being open about it. I think it's critical to have a very honest conversation when it comes to business. But let's break it down, right? So let's assume, and we can talk about it later, but let's assume for the sake of this part of the conversation, is that you have the most extraordinary product, that you open a store, okay, in your case, it's a business, but it's a store. Think about it the more traditional way, that is extraordinary. It has a great balance between cost and value, right? Because it's all about cost and value, right? Things are very, very expensive, but there's substantial amount of value. By the way, value can be subjective. So when you look at a very high-end bag, a Louis Vuitton bag, it's a subjective value. There's not true value, $10,000 for this bag, but some women uh, see value in spending $10,000 on this bag, right? So let's just put aside the fact. Let's say you found this balance between value and price. Okay, what you're pointing to is something different. You're saying, look, I open the store and no one walks in, or not as many people as I would like walk into the store, right?
Oh, I'm not expecting, okay, I have supply for something that demand will follow. Like if I open up, I know people want to buy this product, that now that I own this product, people are going to buy it from me. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think that um, I'm missing a few things in my sales process to be able to get people in. Or I don't even know what the step is to do.
Okay,
Like
very good.
I went to a networking event the other day, and I see all these cool people. I meet all these interesting people. I don't even know what to say to them because either I'm going to go too salesy, and then if they're not interested, they're going to say no, get away from me, or I'm having a BS conversation with them, trying to build some sort of connection, and then a couple hours later, a day later, or even right after I walk away from them, I'm never going to talk to them again, and it was not worth my time. And maybe there's other people in the room that I could have spoken to. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So we can unmask many things in this, in just what you said, right? So first of all, people can smell a lie. There's something that, either smell a lie or there's something sleazy when people don't really know how to point to it. I'm not saying you are, right? But I want you to watch your behavior, right? If you sit with me and you have a different intention in the conversation, people can smell it. There's something, it's like going on a date. The person wants one thing and the other person says, I don't know, there's something about that I don't like. Why? Because they have one agenda, but they're trying to hide it by being polite, et cetera, right? So actually, when it comes to sales, you can have two approaches. One is the what you call the hard sell, right? And there's nothing wrong with it because it depends of who. So if you walk into a car dealership, most people walk into a car dealership are interested in buying a car. We're not, walking unless it's Ferrari or something extraordinary, like there's a really special car inside. You don't walk next to a Volvo or Toyota dealership and you just walk in, right? So one can be more aggressive in sales when the person walks in because the client already said, I'm interested in buying the product. So you can be like, it's not going to be sleazy. Like the guy walked into my dealership looking for a car, so I can be like, let's talk about car. I'm not asking about his family and his last vacation, right? So first of all, you have to get clear. Are the people who are talking for yourself? Are the people you're talking to? Are they generally interested? They're not interested. You don't know if they want a podcast or not. Or
Well,
actually,
that's another question. Where do I find people that are
okay,
interested that I
very
could
good.
be a hard salesman with?
Okay,
I
well,
don't mind being a hard salesman, and I go to a lot of these events, and I'll write down my name and like podcast studio, and the first thing I will say to them, like, I will literally go up to them and say, something about podcasts. Or if I'm like, this person is a little bit more interesting, possibly, maybe there's some sort of angle here, I'll start with something and then lean into podcasts and see if there's interest or not. So I'm not as hard. Maybe that comes across as sleazy.
No, not at all. Not at
Maybe.
all. Look,
Maybe.
no, not at all. So I want to differentiate the two. The reason I gave the example of the car dealership is because someone already walks in interested. So there's a different conversation you will have with someone who says, actually, I really want to do a podcast. Okay? They walked into the dealership, right? If they didn't
That's
walk,
great.
that's right.
That's great.
That's a different conversation.
Some sometimes people contact us and right away
Exactly.
it's okay, how do we make money from you? And how
Exactly.
do we give you what you asked for?
Exactly. So that's one conversation, right? The other one is more of a soft sell because you actually don't know if they're interested. And then it's more about relationships because it's more about speaking with people, getting to know you, getting to know the value you can provide, and keep them in the back of their mind because they might want a car right now, but when they want a car, they're gonna come to you. So when you look at commercials on TV or on YouTube for cars, and I just picked on car, it's more of building a brand. You might not want a car right now, but next time you're looking into getting a car, you're like, I want a BMW. Why do I want a BMW? Because it's sexy, it's cool, it's the ultimate, driving machine. So it's building a brand, and that's a long term. That's a bigger investment and a long term commitment. So I would say, here's my kind of going to the bottom of what we just said. I would get really clear which sales is it. So when you walk into a conversation, am I building a brand? Which is, let me tell you who I am, and let me tell you when you're interested in doing a podcast, you know, come to me. Or am I having a conversation with the hard sales because you actually told me, oh, I have this amazing, I'm a psychologist, I have an amazing clinic, and I want to do a podcast about it. Boom. That's a very hard sell. Here's why our value and our prices and our location is the best thing for you. It's car dealership sales versus let's get a
Okay.
brand.
So I want a hard sale. I want to just say, you're interested, come here and I'll make it work for you. Or here's how it works. Like a company like Volvo, they sell a car for what, 60K? So to get a client, it's like worth it to build that process probably. I want to, we have more expensive products, but I want them to just convert on a $200 per hour sale. And if I'm trying to do soft sales for 7 bookings a day, I need to talk to probably thousands of people
Maybe.
in my week.
Maybe. So,
In my week.
okay, so let's
And
talk.
how do I do that?
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. So first of all, you have to understand how weird it is that you're going to try to sell me something I have zero interest in. It's like those guys, you and I in New York. So those guys stand in the corner with a flyer.
it's
Why are
it's
you giving me the
socially
flyer?
off.
It's so weird, right?
They say it's barking, right? They call it barking.
Yeah,
Like
but it's not even like it's literally you barking, but I'm not even like I'm like passing on bicycle. Like I'm not even interested in like looking in your barking. Like that's so first of all, and by the way, that comes across sleazy. So if I walk on the street to a meeting and you give me a brochure or a pamphlet like a flyer about something, I'm like, what? You don't know anything. Like that's just old way of doing business and no one does it anymore. So forget about it. So first of all, understand that you will have to build brands. Now, the question you brought up, which is a really good question, is like, look, if you want me to build brand, and I get that you have to first of all invest a lot of money, like car companies. Second thing, it's a long-term thing, and I need to pay the bills tomorrow. I need to keep the lights on tomorrow. I don't have time to. That is so. Here's another way to look at this question. See,
also, how do I reach that many people?
yeah, exactly. How do I create a quantum leap? So not a traditional 1 lead to 2, lead to 3, but like 1 lead to 1,000, lead to 10,000, really fast. And I would say that the best thing around that is actually building partnerships. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, yes, if you have to go to a event every day, and it's not an event for people who want to do a podcast, it's an event for something, a social event, a business event, a networking event. It has to be a brand building because it's not like they're going to this event to find out about podcasts. That's a different thing, right? So why would I start to talk to you if I'm not just doing a podcast? So therefore, the question for you, and I don't know your business enough, but the question for you is, where can you build strategic partnerships so you have many funnels coming your way? So think about little brooks that goes into a big river. How can I build as many Brooks as possible? Oh, here you go. Usher
Yeah,
Brooks.
there you go. Yeah, what do you know?
Exactly.
What do you know?
So how can you build many, many partnerships that will lead people to me? Because I personally cannot go to 1,000 events a week, even if I want.
So do we host events? Do I become a party planner to get
Oh,
people in my studio?
okay. So,
I
uh,
could see, I don't know, we run one event a week. That's 100 people at an event. That's a start of a lot of interaction. And if they're
yeah, but
coming, they might be interested in podcasts.
who are you inviting to those events?
It could be anybody. It could
Well, so
be,
here you go. So if you say it can be anybody, you just went back to brand building because I have no interest. And I know there's a place on 30th Street and Broadway
with
and
free
Broadway.
pizza and whatever.
Free
Yeah.
pizza, but I'm a carpenter. I have zero interest in podcasts. Like why would I go to the event for the good looking people because it's New York or for the free pizza? But so again, this is more about brand building. So again, let's go back to the idea. Do I need to do hard sale or do I do brand building? Now, if you do hard sales, you might do, for example, a free class for path podcast interests. So any kid, like I have kids now. My daughters are older, but I remember when especially my son when he was younger, he wanted to be an influencer. He didn't know anything about it, but when he was 11, 12, he's like, "What do you want to do when you're big?" I'm an influencer, right? So
Hmm.
maybe there's many people out there who are interested in exploring having their own podcast. Okay. Look, you and DJ are your partner, are doing a lot of work. You have a professional studio, you have a lot of professional equipment. You might say, look, come to our place and do a free class, a 45 minutes class when we teach you how to set up your studio. Okay. And by the way, if you use our studio, we'll give you a 20% discount for the first 3 sessions. Okay. Something like that. But you're actually attracting people who are already interested in your field. It's not like you're standing on the corner and say, hey, come here, podcast. Like, what the hell? Podcast.
But now I need a market for this event. Now I need a market for this course. And then I'm marketing for a course to bring maybe people that don't have enough money to make their own studio to bring people to our studio.
Well, at least you narrowed the group. It's not just people who want free pizza, right? And a networking event. It's now people who are interested in that world.
Okay, I
Look,
see. I
and
see.
one of the great things about social media, and there's not too many of them from my perspective, but one of the great things is you can do very, very specific target marketing ads. So and Meta, Facebook and Instagram is the masters of those, better than Google. Google is more clicks so you might say, look, I'm looking for people in New York City because currently you have only one studio. You're opening your second studio, but also in Manhattan, right? So there's no point of advertising to someone who is in Connecticut or in Miami right now. So one is to say, look, I'm going to target market anyone who is Googling, looking, searching, watching videos about podcasting, producing. I'm going to get an ads in front of them. You know, S- so that's one thing. The other way to think really creatively, again, thinking more broad, brand building. It's not going to give you clients next week, but think about and answer you when you have a second. Who do you think should have a podcast?
I would say tech founders, creators, influencers, YouTubers, anybody with an audience, anybody with a sponsor, anybody with something to say.
Okay, so
Um,
that's a very broad
it's
answer. So let's narrow it down. So first of all,
it's
if
super broad, and I'm running ads right now, like what you're saying on Facebook and on Google, and it's actually brought in sales. It's doing something. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just putting money in random creative,
okay,
but
so you and I know that you and DJ are very good with analyzing our podcast listening. So you should really dive into the statistics and the data and see what actually works, what doesn't work. But
But
I want,
everybody coming in looks so different. I can't pinpoint who that person
yeah,
is
it's going to
because
take time.
one day we'll have an influencer, one day we'll have a really impressive podcaster, and one day we'll have someone that wants to start a podcast. And in all different types of niches and industries, I can't say there's a person that looks like this that is here and looks like that wants a podcast.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows it, but you gave the example of influencer or someone who has um I think they're the easiest target because they're already looking for a place. They just want maybe a more professional place, right, to do something. But think outside of the box. Think who is not relying on social media or not relying on streaming or not relying on posting online and still would be interested in doing a mini series. It might be a training, an internal podcast for or like a video for their employees. If you go and connect with a large law firms in New York, there's dozens, hundreds of large, I'm talking about very large law firms. They all have offices in New York. What if you had saying to someone in their marketing department, say, look, I know you're the head of the company wants to send a message to the employees. You have 1,200 attorneys around the world in London, Hong Kong, New York, and Dubai, right? Why don't we do a podcast with the CEO of the company and interview him? You can interview him, not you, Usher, but someone who's specialized in law, and we can send it to all the employees. There's a lot of things, but they're like, oh, that's great. And by the way, for them, they can spend the money without even blinking. For them, it's no big deal because it spends so much time.
Okay, so here's my question. There's
Yeah.
so many things we could be doing. We could be making. I made a sexual harassment training video for somebody the other day. We could be doing master classes. We could be doing all these different types of products. But then, should we be focusing on one thing? Because there's so many, and even like podcasting. We have a podcast studio. We could be doing anything. Like literally, we could be building any type of business. We're building this. So where does it intentionality then maybe shifting up our pitch to sell more people? Are we gonna lose? Are we gonna win by having more products and by doing more things, or are we gonna lose in the long term?
I don't think anyone knows the answer. So I want to go back to Amazon because we started this conversation with Amazon. What was the first thing Amazon sold?
Books, I think.
Exactly. I don't think if you, and I think Jeff Bezos had a vision, right? And he's extraordinary, a logistic. He understood how logistics worked in an extraordinary way no one did before. But he tested the market on books. By the way, Amazon makes money not from the Amazon you and I know, but from hosting on their cloud.
AWS,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's actually where they make their money. So, and it was kind of like it was a byproduct. If you look at Google, Google was a byproduct of something they started. They started something completely different when they're at Stanford, right? And then there was a moment when they actually realized there's opportunity here that did not exist before, which is kind of an open, more of an open search versus a like the way Yahoo used to work, which is a closed place, right? So companies change themselves all the time. I don't know the answer. I don't think you know the answer, but you you must understand that running a business is a dance. It's not a march. So you have to try something and then see if it works, and then try, and then if it works, double down on it. You might double down, realize actually has it worked only for 3 months and it dried. It's the key to your success is the flexibility of actually moving back and forth in a dance with what the markets say, what the industry, because you don't know how the market's going to behave.
I feel like you could make a product that with intention that will do well. Like you have someone like Elon Musk who spent years on making the Tesla Roadster before they put it on the market, and then they sold the product and it worked. They didn't do any marketing. They just did development of their product. Maybe we need to develop our product before we sell it.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy this example. I feel like Elon Musk is one of the most brilliant marketers I we have ever seen in modern time. That's why is ongoingly the richest person in the world. He succeed convincing people to buy a car that doesn't exist yet, and he sells so many cars on paper that he has enough money to develop the car. Look at the truck, for example. Okay, so when it comes to marketing, he's absolutely brilliant in the center power marketing. But I really, my intention is not to suppress anyone. But I think it's very dangerous or set yourself to fail to compare oneself to Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. I'm not, him or her if it's someone brilliant. Maybe you are, but start at the battle level. Okay. So I don't think the product, I think the issue is that's we're asking about cost and value, right? You said quite clearly before, you said, look, I think that the cost and the value in my studio is good. I'm for what you pay for, I'm giving you really good product. Therefore,
I was talking to somebody this morning and I gave her a quote, which I thought was a big number. I told her $5,000 for a month package, and she's like, "Wow, so cheap." so cheap. And I felt like garbage. I'm like, so cheap, excuse me. Like what?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Well,
I can't even sell this. Why are you telling me it's cheap?
yeah. So let's analyze what you just said, right? Why did you think it's expensive?
Because we're not selling enough of those packages. I think it's a good deal. Honestly, if I were to break down the price, I think it's a steal.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So,
the
but
people we've
so
been
what?
engaging with don't have enough money.
Okay. So why? Yes, but that's a different thing. My question is, when you said 5,000, you felt a little uncomfortable. It was a kind of like a high number. That's what you said, right?
I said it confidently
Yeah,
because
of course, because
like
you're a good
I
salesperson. But I'm saying
yeah.
internally, and thanks for being honest on this conversation. Um, what made you uncomfortable?
That she said it was cheap or that
No,
saying the
before
number
you're like
5,000
5,000. She's like it's cheap, and you're like, oh, I feel like an idiot, right?
because there's got to be a bunch of other people out there selling the same product for way more, doing making way more money than we are, that know way more than we do, that know the right people to speak to. Like I can't readily access these type of people. Maybe I should look at who that person was and more people like them.
Yeah, exactly. So
Um,
there's a few things we hear. One is that you need to know the market.
there's
So
so many things to do. Like there's like, what is the roadmap? Like, how do I actually go from where I am today of making I need a small increase, but I want to fast. And then we're at 16K a month. I want to be at 100K per
yes,
month.
okay. So
And it feels like it's something that for the right person, they could do that in a couple months, or they could do that in a day. They could do that in a week. And I've been doing this for months and not getting there yet.
okay, there's so much stuff to discuss here to unmask. Um, so let's just talk for a second just about that. One of the things you want to watch is, are you imposing your own point of view on the customer's experience? What do I mean by that, right? You're young, you're in your early 20s, right? So for you, I'm just saying $5,000 sounds like a lot of money, right? Uh, Forget about the value for a second. Well, obviously giving great value, right? But for you, $5,000 if someone is in their early 20s, but you cannot think because you're not the buyer. She is the buyer. Let people just deal with the price. If and you dictate the price according to what you think you should charge, not what their reaction is, right? So that's one side of the brain. Just like I think that $5,000 is a great package. And some people are going to be like, oh, that's too expensive. And you say, thank you. It's $5,000 still, right? We give value. I stand behind it. And some people are going to be like, oh my God, it's so cheap. I thought it's going to be more. But that's their point of view. It doesn't matter. You stand where you think you bring true value and the balance in value and cost, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is that you really need to know the market. So if everyone charges, uh, $10,000, there's no true reason unless it's a promotion, and that's sometimes dangerous. And we can talk about why promotions can be dangerous. There's no reason to charge $5,000 because if this woman or anyone reaches out to you and say, "Okay, I want to talk to theorists about using the studio," and she calls probably or checked online 5 different places, if everyone is $10,000 and you're $9,000, it's going to bring a question for her. First of all, is it not as good as the other ones, right? Why is it cheaper? Why is it half the price of anyone else? So you have to constantly check what's the value of the other one, right? And then, so that's external. External is like how much the other person, look, if you sell a cup of coffee for $7, people are going to be like, why is it selling for $7 when everybody else is $4.50 for cappuccino in New York, right? So either you're giving some, and then you have to tell a story. I'm flying the coffee from Brazil. It's a special organic farm. But now you're justifying why you're charging me $7. And then let's see if I like it that much, or if it's cool enough, or it's becoming like a viral thing when everybody sits online and buy the $7 coffee. But if you don't give me a story to justify the cost, it doesn't make any sense. So you have to know how much your top competitors are charging. Okay, that's
Right now, we don't have a great story, so it sounds about right for
so
me.
you
The
have to be in
price.
the balance. You have to be in the middle, not the cheapest, not the most expensive. It'd be somewhere in the middle, right? Maybe one day you'll have an amazing story, or in this studio, those famous people recorded. That's where they started their career. People like, oh, I want that kind of magic powder that they have there. I want to use that because they recorded with this person, that person, they're all now famous. Whatever it is, but right now, because you don't have a story, either come up with a story that is convincing or understand you have to be an average price. Right? Cool. So
Okay.
let's go to the second point. The second point you said is, okay, it's all good and well, but I want to move from 60,000 to 100,000. How do I do that? And I think, I'm not sure, that, okay, I'm good. Before I tell you what I think is, how much of your time in percentage do you actually spend on sales?
Okay. So I would love to spend all day on it. Realistically, I am spending 3 hours on it
So give
because
me a percent of the month, in a week. How much a percent of the working time? Obviously not sleeping and
in my mind, I'm thinking about it
not in
all the
your mind. In
time.
reality, if I had a reality show and I had a camera following Usher,
If you're with a stopwatch, putting it on, putting it off, it's probably like 25%.
25% of the time. Okay, very good. Now,
I just don't know where to find all
hold
these
on,
people.
walk me
And
through it, Usher.
okay.
So you're saying 25% of the time you're actually spending on marketing and sales, okay? Let's just take it face value. How important is marketing itself for your business? Is it 10% of your business? Is it 60%? Is it 9%?
It's like 80,
Okay.
90%.
Do you see the gap? Okay. So here's the insanity of an entrepreneur, young entrepreneur. You say, 80% of my business is relying and is important right now on bringing new business. That's 80 or 90% of my business right now. That's the core that's going to keep me alive next month or not, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
I'm only spending 25 points. Do you see the gap there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize it's insane?
Yeah.
It's kind of like someone having cancer, okay? And say, look, it's the most important thing in the world for me. I want to stay alive. And then as they talk to you, they light a cigarette and drinking alcohol and talking to you. And you're like, okay, dude, like there's such a disconnect from what you say you're committed to. I don't care if you say, look, I have cancer and I want to enjoy life and I have a few more months and that's it, I'm done. Fine. Then you can do whatever you want. But I'm saying if you say, I want to stay alive, I want to be healthy, I want to see my grandchildren or children, whatever, right? And then you smoke cigarette and you eat crap, there's disconnect. So again, I'm being critical with you, but I just want to point to the gap,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the beginning when you don't have momentum. One of the things we speak very often about when we interview other people on the podcast or when we dive into the book, the Zenith Code, is we talk about momentum. It's easy when things go your way because you already have momentum. You push the first few rounds and now the rock is rolling downhill. You don't have to spend much energy on it. You're a young business. It's not a bad thing. It's observation, right? So you don't have momentum yet
I have to like restart every week. New
because you don't have
lease, new
momentum, but it's not a
people.
bad news. This is the reality of it. So think about someone pushing a rock, and until the rocks are rolled down the hill, there's no point of you being upset over, oh, look at Amazon or look at Tesla. Look at how their rock is rolling down the road. Or anyone who has business in your industry for 5, 10 years, you don't have it yet. So there's a substantial amount of force. I don't know if you remember, but we spoke in the past. What is momentum? Momentum is in the beginning you put 1,000 units of success of effort to get 1 unit of success. With time, you're going to get to a place when you have 1 unit of success. So 1,000 units of success with only 1 unit of effort, right? So there's a moment when suddenly it takes over. The rock's on the roll by itself, right? You're not there yet. So instead of getting upset about it or harsh with yourself, understand you have to spend a lot of time on marketing and sale.
Okay, so now what do I do? What do I do to be able to spend 100% on the time of my time doing it? Because part of my day, I'm looking for places to go, trying to speak to people that are dead ends, trying to figure out how to speak to more people. Do I run ads? Am I running ads well? Um,
Yes. So first of all, I wanna I want to point to the fact that you're hungry and you're doing some work. So that's very important. Okay, you're not discouraged, and I get the frustration, but at least you know you need to do work. So that's a good beginning. A lot of people give up. A lot of people try once, try like I don't have what it takes, and that's it, right? So first of all, the fact that you're hungry is wonderful. Second thing is you need to do the intellectual work we're doing right now. on this in this conversation. What do I mean by that? Now we're walking away, hopefully, from
Now
this
we're going to
conversation.
therapy.
Well, yeah, hopefully it's more tangible. It's maybe a different kind of therapy. But now you first of all know, it's like, first of all, what kind of, when you walk into an event or you look into an event, is that a sales event when people who are in the room are interested in podcasts and using a studio, recording studio, okay? Or is it a networking event when it's very open? If it's networking event, it's more about brand recognition and brand building, and maybe someone's going to lead me to someone else, right? So it's and you should spend less time on it because right now you're hungry. You need something tomorrow morning. You can't just build a brand for a year from now or 2 years from now, right? So less network events that kind of like, oh, let me get to know you, or here's what I do. Fine, do that. Do 10% of the time on it, not 90% of the
That's
time.
that's that's kind of most of the events I'm going to.
So you're spending the energy
Like
in the wrong place.
the last 2 days I went to, there's some textile stuff in the Javits Center. So I went over there, fabrics, textiles, nobody's there. I tried it twice. Then yesterday there was a panel on consumer packaged goods, and there's a panel on it. And then happens to be in the same building. There is some sort of agency that was having a event also, so I went to both. And I met some cool people, but I don't think anything's gonna come out of it.
Yeah, because
Maybe
again,
maybe a booking in a couple weeks
maybe,
somehow.
but again, now you can use your intelligence, use the intellectual part of you, right, to sort of differentiate and say, look, the chance of me getting a booking next week or in 2 weeks from now from a place that is very low. You never know, right? But very, very low. So you should spend, I'm just saying, 10% of your time on general networking because it's important to network. It's very important, right? The next where you need to spend time is on two things. One is hard sales. People who are already interested in podcasts. Ask yourself a questions, and look, I don't know, I don't know your industry enough to give you a specific answer. All I know is like, look, but you already see that we have grown since the beginning conversation to half an hour ago. Now look, first of all, before I walk into a place, is it a soft sale, a brand building, or is it a hard sale? If it's soft sale, I don't have the luxury right now to spend so much time on it, right? So I'm going to do that less. Let me get curious. Search online, use AI, etc. Where do the people who want podcasts are hanging out? What can I give them?
How many times do you think I put that prompt in Chat GPT?
I don't know, but find out networks, find out schools schools that might have a budget issue, but find what you can give as a simple course for 20 minutes before you get good connections. And then the next two more things is what people that would benefit from podcasts, but they don't know they're going to benefit from podcasts. Like the example of the law firm. So that.
But then I'm pitching. Then I'm pitching, which
So
is
what's wrong with pitching?
they're not looking for it.
I know. So you reach out to the marketing person. You don't pitch to the CEO. You head of marketing or PR of the law firm, and you call her and say, "Hi, Julie. I know you're the head of PR. We've been doing a few things lately, and I wanted to show you. Do you have 1 minute? 1 minute of your time?" She's like, "Sure, of course." Because by the way, Julie wants to bring new ideas to the next staff meeting. So she has interest to hear nothing and said, in 1 minute of your time, very simple. We interview different people. We have resources. I can get any of our hosts that are shooting their own podcast on our studio to maybe interview the CEO of your company, right? Or you can do internal, someone in your company, interview the CEO, and you can send to all the employees. And it's going to cost you very little. We can get you a package for $10,000, blah, 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 with social media, everything. Would you be interested? It took you 1 minute. I did it in, by
Would you
the way,
buy that?
if you do 50 calls like that, maybe two of them, maybe they'll keep in the back of their mind, and next month maybe they'll do a Christmas special when they do it for the holidays for all the employees, some announcement, some conversation. You don't know, but I'm just saying, set a thing creatively. I'm not telling you that I have the answer. All I'm asking you is you to do the work because you know the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't know your industry. All I'm asking you is to think outside of the box. It's a combination of be in the right place in the right time when people actually are hungry to know about podcasts, and think outside the box. How can you create a market that doesn't exist anymore? If you remember, Steve Jobs said, let let us give them, or some version of that. Let us give them what they don't know they want, right?
Yeah.
People didn't know they want a computer with a phone and, like, a whole computer in a phone. But he had a vision. He's like, what do I have to do to educate the market? So you might have to educate the market and talk to people who are actually be like, oh, that's a great idea. I would love to do a podcast about our own company.
I'm reaching out to these companies and they have some sort of interest, but it's like, okay, let's just schedule a call for September.
Yes.
Let's schedule a call for October. I'm like, okay,
It's a very small
nice.
show. Yes, it's a short
We have
circle.
a call, but we're not going to make any. I'm not even going to know if that's going to make me money for 5 months.
Correct. And by the way, one of the things to understand is that the larger the company is, the longer it takes. So I have many friends who are doing very large system sales for like huge company, right? They will work on a sale for 2 years, because the bigger the company is, now when they sell it, may be a $20 million software contract, right? But it's hard when you don't, like, I'm not going to be in business in 2 years, right? If I keep on going like that. So again, what we talked about earlier is that dance. Talk about how can you bring business tomorrow morning, and how can you convince a large organization that will talk to you in 3 months or 2 months. By the way, you're in New York City. Have you really talked to
Hmm.
500, 1,000 companies? Or you're like, oh, if I meet a network, maybe. And are you talking to the right person? Are you talking to the head of PR of that company, right? And all you need is 30 seconds with those people. That's the thing. And you might have to understand, or not might, but you need to understand that it will take time.
How
That
do I follow up?
you say, hey, can I follow up with you? To literally say to her, like, thank you for this conversation. If you don't mind, I'm planning on sending you an email, a follow-up email in 2 weeks. LinkedIn is a great place to reach out to people. Say, I just, and send something, read through the resume and say, hey, I went to the same college, or I'm interested also in that thing. Like, that's LinkedIn is a great place to do it. And look, I totally get the frustration. I just want to make sure that you think like a sniper. Like, you take your time and you take a target and you take it out, versus just spreading your bullets all over the place, which it seems like what you did, because you're very hungry and you're very driven, which is wonderful.
So, okay, let me think expectations. You said I shouldn't be looking at people like Elon Musk. I shouldn't be looking at Bezos. I should be thinking to be like someone successful in my industry. How fast should I grow? How fast should I expect to grow?
I don't think
What
anyone
should be
has
my
the answer.
expectations?
I think it's not about that. I really think, like,
But you're telling me to expect less.
first of all, I'm asking you not to expect less, but I'm asking you to uh, not waste energy on comparing yourself to the largest giants of the world yet. Now, I'm not saying you don't have a drive. You might say to me, Boaz, when I'm
I, I'm
50,
I'm more looking to them to see what I'm doing wrong, or that objectively I'm doing something wrong if they did something so right.
I don't think you're right about this observation. I think you're doing things right. Maybe you don't get the results you want right now. Maybe it's going to take time. But I think that you're doing the right thing. You're working hard. You think you're spending time on the quality of your product. You're spending time on sales, maybe not as focused as we just had a 40-minute conversation about, right? But I think, again, Jeff Bezos had to go through many, many, many investors and convince them to invest with them when he was no one in the beginning, right? So again, you want to compare yourself to Jeff Bezos? First of all, good for you. Why not? If it inspires you. But don't compare yourself to Jeff Bezos now in his, whatever, his late 50s or whatever it is, one of the richest people in the world. Compare Jeff Bezos when he was 21, 22. That's what you should compare yourself to. And then,
Okay, so I know this guy who made a company, Cal AI. I worked on him on a project, and now he's making like $1 million a month.
so tell me,
I could
I don't
compare
know
to.
anything
He's
about them. You,
19.
you tell me, what does he do that you're not doing?
Um, online it says he did this UGC campaign that went crazy, and people are using the app, and it was AI, so people I don't know. Maybe he got lucky. Maybe he built a really good product also, but um, I'm not sure. I don't know
Okay.
the inner
Okay.
workings
So
of
you
his
have to.
business. I didn't research it that much.
Well, okay. So that's one of the.
Also, it's a software. Anybody could use it anywhere. Here, I need to engage with people in New York.
Okay. Very good. So you can see how in this conversation we're getting more and more intelligent about your product. Now you're like, oh, now you catch yourself. Go like, I can't compare myself to this guy. This guy's software. It can go overnight and become viral. I can't really be viral because I'm a physical location. I'm more of a traditional business. I have a location. I have cameras. I have, audio systems and audio product in the location specifically, right? So now you start to use the intellect. So it gives you some freedom. Oh, what I need to compare myself maybe to more traditional businesses. Okay, fine. What did they do?
Hmm.
How did a coffee shop became successful? If you look at coffee shops, I'm not talking about Starbucks because again, huge company. And if you actually listen to the Starbucks, they started very small, took very many years, et cetera, right? How do I find if there's a location in New York of something that they're selling that has 5, 7, 10, 30 locations? How did they do it? How did they build? How do they make money while they're building their brand? So now you're comparing apples to apples and not apples to something that has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Then I'm gonna make one more comparison to the people you said not to compare to. But how much do I pay myself? And how much does DJ pay himself? How much do me and my co-founder pay ourselves? You look at people like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. It says online they have like a salary of like $1 because they have equity. And then I don't know, Warren Buffett, I think maybe it's 100K. So what do we pay ourselves? Because part of me is like I need money to survive, but I also want to keep money in the business to make business that will give me better equity, will make me more money. Because if I take out money, then that's gonna go into how much our business is making.
That's a great question. And I think it points to maturity of a business. Okay. So let me just break it down for a few things. So, first of all, put all those people you said aside because the reason they take very low salary is because they have substantial amount of equity. And because of tax reasons, they never pay taxes. So that's why they can afford taking $1 salary because they make hundreds of millions of dollars to their own pocket a year without paying any taxes. And we can talk about it later if you want, but I can explain how they do it, but that's not relevant to this question, right? So first of all, they have equity, you don't have equity. Theorist is a brand new startup, okay? And it's worth, not to offend you, the reality is worth nothing right now. No one's going to come and say, here's $100 million, I want to buy Theorist, right? As an agency, as a podcast producers, right? So, of course, you shouldn't compare yourself to someone that has so much equity, okay? That brings me to the more important question in what you said. You said, how much do I pay myself under the circumstances? And one of the biggest mistakes that young entrepreneurs do, and I made the same mistake, is that you don't take care of yourself. And what's the most important thing of the theorist? The most important thing, and that's an open question, but the answer is very simple. It's you and your partner. You and DJ are the most important thing of theorists for now. Maybe in the future have 50 employees, and that's, by the way, what a good CEO does, build legacy. So he or she builds an ability to be replaced. So when something happens to them or they leave, whatever it is, the business keep on going, right? You don't have that. If you and DJ do not come to work tomorrow, there's no business, right? So if you look at the biggest asset is you two. If you don't take care of you too, there won't be any business. And many times, and I've done the same mistake many, many years. I'm like, oh, I'm the founder of the company when I started real estate. I'm just not going to take salaries. But if you're starving, if you live on someone's couch, and I know some people have this like stories, glory stories, this multi-billionaire slept on someone's couch in the beginning. Yes, I get that. I put it aside. You must take care of yourself, which means.
I heard a story today. I was calling somebody, and there's this big YouTuber, Joshua Weissman. He does cooking videos, and he said he was his best, like one of his closest friends, and he used to sleep on his air mattress in his apartment floor, and then he was flying, And Josh is like, come to Austin where he lives. And then he went to Austin and he had no idea why, but he's just like, okay, I'll go. And then what's it called? He gave him like a really expensive watch for his birthday. And he's like, you're a real one who's been there from the beginning. It's like a come up story. He said that he was someone who slept in his apartment on the floor, and then a couple months later, or a year later, comes back in a McLaren.
Okay.
So
So I
it
good
is it
story.
is
Okay.
glorified.
It makes great stories. 999 people out of 1,000 people do not last on someone's mattress for a long time. I understand it going through a difficult time for a short period of time. Now, those are the stories that make it glorified. And like, there's like, oh, look at me. I slept on someone's couch for 6 months or for a year. But 999 people out of 1,000 be like, after 6 months of living couch, is like, I can't live like that. And they're going to give up their dreams and go and work in a place that gives them a salary and go fall into the gold handcuffs of corporate America, right? I say I have a different, I want to take care of maybe you, the one person, forget about him for a second, okay? I'm talking about the other 200 people out of the 1,000 that do have the entrepreneur spirit that they're hungry, they want to do it. If they don't take care of themselves, they will never last that desert period. Okay. Saying that, you don't have to be an idiot. I mean, don't go and empty the account completely and spend money on clothes. Like, oh, it's going to work out. It's going to be fine. It's going to be wonderful. Find the balance of having a very modest living. Every dollar you don't really need to spend in the business, but you have to feed yourself. You have to live in a comfortable place. You have to go to the gym. You got to eat like a normal person. You cannot last. You cannot last as any person, okay, without taking care of the basic needs of a human being, because you must understand that building a business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And many times you hear the story like, oh, they started this thing, and then a year later, this company came and bought them out, or say it became viral, and now they're fine. But again, 99% of businesses are marathons. And can you imagine running a marathon without eating during the marathon? Why do they have all those jails on the stations, the bananas, and people are holding cups to you in the marathon? Because they understand that it's impossible to finish the marathon without feeding energy, feeding food into your body. That's why they take those gels. No difference. You are running a marathon, and you not taking care of yourself it's like not eating during running a marathon.
Hmm. And I'm not running this marathon by myself. Right now I'm doing it with DJ and working with someone. I've been working with him for a long time. And sometimes, respectfully, he comes off a little strong, sometimes a little aggressive. He's someone who thinks very objectively, very um, focused like mostly on efficiency. I'm someone who wants to build brand, be a little creative, a little bit more energy, a little bit more maybe emotional. Sometimes those balances, those two sides conflict. What should we be focusing on? Because I'm down to change my view to be more efficient if that's the way things should be. But I also feel like sometimes like building that emotional, building that experience in the studio, building all these different things will help our business.
Yeah, I think the question you asked.
And I can't back it up. That's what's frustrating because I can't really back myself up. There's no data on what I'm saying because it's more like gut feeling. I think this should be the way that things should be.
Yep.
And versus like objectively, that makes no sense right now because we need to focus, like what you were saying, you got to focus your whole day on sales if that's 80% of what your business needs. So
Yeah, I think you
then
asked
I'm
me
like,
two
okay,
questions. So one
it's
is you point to partnership, and that can be a romantic partnership, a marriage, a relationship, and business relationship. You spending more time. I mean, you're young, you're not married, but you're spending more time, even in the future. You're probably going to spend more time in your business than actually in your marriage, and more time than spend time with your significant other, with kids, with sleeping. Right? That's the curse and the blessing of owning a business. Right? So you have to understand, first of all, that that business is a relationship. And in business, in a relationship, you have to learn when to stand for something very, very important, choose your battles, Ask yourself, am I really fighting for something that is very important, or I'm just fighting to make sure that I'm the right one? Because if you keep on being right, the partnership is going to fall apart. And if he's going to keep on being right, eventually going to be like, he's stepping all over me. And like, so you both have to learn. That's going to take time, like dating someone, to learn when to fight and another friend, when to give up, and make sure that these things are very, very important to you. And you can say to say, look, when it comes to X, this is very, very important to me. I'm going to fight with you on that one. Can you be more flexible? And there may be things on Y where DJ comes to you and say, look, when it comes to Y, that's very important to me. You need to be flexible. And that's the dance you're going to have to learn to dance together. So that's one thing, okay? The second thing is the key to partnership is synergy. What is synergy? 1 + 1 = 3. Because if 1 + 1 = 2, there's no reason to be partners. And some people do very, very, I have friends who are business owners and they do very well without any partners. They have strategic partners, they have wonderful employees, but they don't have real true partners. You have to ask yourself the question. It seems like you're one of them. You do better when someone is pushes against you. So don't get upset when they push against you, because that's when you do better. You grow when they challenge you, and they grow when you challenge them. That's the kind of person you are. Again, I'm not saying that having a business partner is better or not. It depends your personality. If you're someone who get in
I mean, we had three, then now we're at two.
yeah, and
So
sometimes 3 works, sometimes 2 works. You know, like what I'm saying. So, but again, that's part of the dance, right? Some people are together with someone else. Some people get divorced, and they're happy when they're divorced. It's the same thing, right? So, first of all, understand that there's synergy. 1 + 1, Usher plus DJ must be worth 3. If not, it's a waste of your time. The first thing. Second thing is the key to, and by the way, you're never going to be equal. Not I'm saying percentage from a legal perspective. I'm saying there'll be, maybe I'm just saying that you are an amazing salesperson. And in one phone call, you can make sales for you for the next 3 months, and it's incredible. And maybe DJ is more like, I don't know, the marketing, the editing stuff. So you have to spend hours and hours in the studio. So he might have moments when he's staying till 3 a.m. and editing. Say, I can't believe it. Usher's at home hanging out with his friends, and I'm working at 3 a.m. Yes, but Usher is a magician when it comes to sell. He does something in 5 minutes that takes you an hour in the editing. So one of the key to a successful partnership is to understand each one's strength and not nickel and dime, not counting how many each one of you minutes spending. Saying that, you both have to work your ass off. If you're, not doing as much work as he does, and whatever work is, that means that one of you is not giving as much as he should give into this partnership. But understand that there'll be things that will take more time, and you might spend more time now in sales, and he'd spend less because the studio is not booked. And there's time now he can go to the gym more than you because you're doing sales now. But there'll be a moment in November when the studio is booked solidly, like I have nothing to do because it's booked. So I can't sell more. I have to work on maybe my next studio. And he's going to be working till 3 a.m. because right now you have a table full of editing and all that stuff, right? So that's, again, it's part of the maturity of being friends. The last thing I want to say about partnership, and I think it's very important, is there has to be integrity. And what do I mean by that? When you say you're going to do something inside your responsibility, you go and do it. Don't look at DJ or don't ask DJ to look at your stuff. If you said you're going to, I'm just giving a stupid example, 3 networking events, DJ needs to know that he can count on you to say what you're going to do. And if you don't do it, clean up. Be honest. Don't start to hide it. We're like, look, DJ, I promised I'm going to 3 network events this week, and I was just so exhausted, or I had this event, or I only went to 2. We all mess up. If you do it once or twice and you clean up, no problem, right? You say, look, I messed up. I promised going to do it. I didn't do it. But if it's ongoing, then DJ should walk over and be like, is Usher really committed as much as you? He said he's going to go to 3 events a week, and now he's going for 2 or 1 every week for the last month and a half. Maybe he's not as committed to our partnership as I thought he will.
I hear you. I think that's really most of my questions for now.
Good.
And
Hopefully people,
I appreciate,
just a last comment.
it's such a niche conversation.
Well,
I don't know.
I hope not. Okay, I hope that actually someone who listened to this conversation can hear their business and their life in this conversation, because there's only one Usher and DJ. There's only one group right now. This podcast, this conversation is not about how do I build a successful podcast studio in New York City, in Midtown. This is too niche, it's too small. Whether you're building a business, technology, or a coffee shop, or you're looking for what's in your life, I think that the lessons, and that's the whole point of my workshop, and actually, if you listen to our podcast, we interview jazz musicians, business people, politicians. They all say the same. They all talk about their failures and opportunity to learn. They all looked at like the theories they had about their lives and the reality of actually how was to deal with it. They all talk about the hard work they're doing. So whether you're a podcast producer or a coffee shop owner or a software engineer starting a startup, right? It's the same lesson exactly. And then that's why I think this conversation might broader, much broader than actually talking about you. It might be Mary and Julia versus Usher and DJ. It doesn't matter. The lessons are the lessons.
Well, thank you, Boaz. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was our
And
pleasure.
got to go up to 80% with the sales.
Exactly. Cool.
I have to figure out what to do. I don't know.
Yeah, perfect. Last thing, well, I'll tell you, the last thing is if this conversation stays intellectual, we just wasted an hour of your time. That's to you and to the listener. If you walk out of listen to this, just go like, oh, that was a cool thing, or like, no. If you don't sit down now or in the next few minutes and write down the actions you're going to take, it's just intellectual, exercise that gives you no impact on your life. The key to success is in understanding things, owning it, but then take actions. If you don't build a bridge to actions, this is like a therapy, just talking and talking and talking with no actions. Therapy must lead you to new actions, to understanding the world. If not, it's a waste of everybody's time.
Well, I'll do action.
Okay, cool. Excellent. All right. Thank you very much.
I'll give you my word and integrity on that.
And now it's going to be live, so of course. Yeah, perfect.